Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel we're providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video, we're going to be looking at class action details against Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. We're also going to be looking at tick symbol MMAT Meta Materials and the 14A that they have just released, looking at reasons why they are looking to increase their the amount of authorized shares. So stay tuned for that. And before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So first headline here from Market Watch: the US economy faces a 1970s style stagflation as inflation sticks around. So it is causing a little bit of a problem. And we can see here that Wall Street, one of the Wall Street strategists is basically warning the economy has gone from Goldilocks to stagflation and investors are ignoring it at their peril. So hopefully there is better news. And in other market news here, we can see in terms of cryptos, at the moment they still seem to be trending a little bit down. Ethereum is down over 2%. Bitcoin, I think right now today is down approximately 1.6%. Wall Street did finish in the red on the Friday, but hopefully going forward we do expect better news. So before we look at details of the class action, shout out here to Dr. He, who's posted with regard to Don Fiss in Washington DC, and he stated he has currently approximately 40 openings or so in the next week, and it's important that we load him up and give him these offices, and information obviously is gold. So we need constituents out there in the United States, so go ahead and call your rep. Try to contact at least 2 senators. DM Dr. E, or also contact and reach out to Marduk or Junk Savvy. And if you're not on X, you can leave a comment in the video below and I'll try and pass the message on. So let's move on to look at the details of the class action. So shout out here to Junk Savvy, who posted with regard to this, and she stated here: class action lawsuit filed against Next Bridge Hydrocarbons in the Eastern District of New York, and a complaint is alleging false or materially misleading statements regarding the value of oil and gas assets and transactions. So the solicitors or the lawyers concerned go by the name of Levi and Korinsky LLP. So we're going to have a look at details of that shortly, but the reaction from Mark is he's warned everybody, or so he states he has, months ago, and it was a matter of time, but no worries. And he's also saying here that there were claims from Drew that he paid a lawyer $1,500 to stop a class action, and now it's time to get the money's worth. So obviously he seems to be saying that he was proven right. What CFS is basically saying is that the lawsuit has got nothing to do with FINRA, so 100% agree with CFS. This has got nothing to do with what's happening in Congress. It's nothing to do with the allegations against FINRA, and it's also got nothing to do against information we're looking for in terms of a share count. So CFS also goes on to say that others on behalf without the authorization or knowledge. So for example, if George or John Berda falsely claimed that the value of the oil assets was obviously higher than it was, then yes, that is a serious concern. As far as I'm concerned, I do not remember any of them saying anything of that sort in a public manner, and if there has been stated publicly, certainly I would welcome evidence of that. But those of you who did not invest in MMTLP and invested for the squeeze, not illegal to invest for a squeeze for information purposes, then FINRA is liable for damages. So I agree with that. And those who say that FINRA is immune from wrongdoing, we also agree. We agree that there should be change, but FINRA are certainly one of the nefarious actors as far as most people are concerned. So let's now have a look at details of the class action. So from GlobeWire News, we can see basically Levi and Korinsky LLP have notified investors. They filed a complaint, and they're looking to recover losses issued by Next Bridge Hydrocarbons, and their deadline is May the 14th, 2024. So in terms of the details, let's have a look at the complaint. It's alleging that Next Bridge filed a registration statement in connection with the spin-off that contain false or materially misleading statements. And just for clarification purposes, they haven't actually attached any of these allegedly misleading statements yet, so we're still waiting to find that out. And they are saying here that statements were at issue concern the value of the company's oil and gas assets, Next Bridge Hydrocarbons transactions. The complaint alleges that these false or materially misleading statements violated the Securities Act 1933 and damaged shareholders who received the shares in conjunction with the spin-off. So first of all, most shareholders have not received the shares, so I think the lawyers are factually incorrect there. It also goes on to say if you receive Next Bridge Hydrocarbon shares, then the deadline by this company is May the 14th. So they're looking for this to be as big a class action as possibly they can get away with. So let's now have a look at the allegations. So we can see here on the website, the allegations there are basically in terms of alleging false information with regard to the company's oil and gas assets and in terms of the valuation. But again, in terms of eligibility, what they are basically saying is it's for anybody who suffered loss of shares in Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. So let's finish off by having a reaction from Rare DD, who's posted the company, the lawyers who are taking this case on, Levi Korinsky, are asking investors that suffered losses for investing in Instacart to contact them. By the time of the notice, Instacart was at an all-time high. The very next day, they announced a similar suit against Next Bridge and many more. So it looks like these lawyers are certainly looking to cash in by getting as many class action lawsuits as they can. So certainly from their point of view, I think it's a case of self-interest. Finally, we're going to have a look at the 14A issued by Meta Materials, ticker symbol MMAT. So what I posted earlier was that Meta Materials have issued a 14A to explain why they are seeking to increase the number of authorized shares. So they believe, in their words, that they are being prudent, disciplined and responsible with our stock issuance. So these are the company words. As far as I'm concerned, I do not believe the shareholders will agree with that. So let's have a look at their Q&A that they shared in terms of why they're seeking to increase the number of authorized shares. So first of all, first question, they're saying, why does Meta need additional authorized shares? So they're basically saying they're looking at organic growth, and that is contributing to the current revenue. However, they're looking at the cost of commercialization, marketing and sales outstripping the revenue. So they are acknowledging that the costs are too high, and they are, as far as they're concerned, as a result of these costs, they need the option to raise additional share capital by issuing these new shares. So obviously they're saying they've already stated that, and the cost, they're focusing on things like raw materials, R&D, investment, capital expenditure. So then they've said, and trying to answer the question, why this amount? So the amount that we're talking about is up to approximately 240 million shares. So they're asking for approval for a larger number of shares that will be likely issued. So the implication that they are trying to say is, look, we're asking for 240 million, but we might actually do a lot less. I certainly don't believe that. I think they probably go for the absolute maximum. So what they're saying is they want to have the flexibility to issue as few or as many. So basically they need your vote. And the third question they're looking at is, why is Meta's timeframes for a share issuance? So what is it looking at? So they're basically, in their words, they say they believe they are prudent, disciplined, responsible with their stock issue, and their goal is to issue the fewest number of shares. Well, 240 million allegedly is certainly not a few. And what they've stated is, what does that mean for my shares, as in you, the shareholder? And they've stated they recognise that the result will result in existing shareholder dilution. So they've used the word dilution, and they've acknowledged that that is basically what is happening and what it means, and that is one of the key reasons why shareholders are going to be extremely upset. So they stated alternative capital raise options could be more detrimental. So they're talking about taking loans or other options and saying they don't want to do that. We don't take this proposal lightly, but we must advance the measure to ensure our business viability goes forward. And they're talking about a thorough restructuring which they've had. They deemed that certain business lines in the near term with regard to revenue generation and dedicated resources accordingly. So they basically are looking at product commercialization, ensuring that sales projected within their focus lines, and they need additional capital to do this and cross the finishing line. And they finished off by looking at the pros and cons of raising additional share capital. So obviously they know that dilution is one of the first cons, and an increase in capital stock can ultimately be beneficial for Meta investors. So they are now trying to say it's good for you. An increase in capital raised by selling additional shares, and the reason why they're saying it's good for you, it can finance additional company growth. So they intend to invest the capital for commercialization, and if successful, revenue should increase, which they believe will lead to gains in the stock price realized by market investors. So that's basically what they're saying is the carrot. They believe the share price will increase. In reality, I think looking at a history of other similar examples, I don't believe that is the case. So let's get some reactions. So the SEC is complicit is basically saying, why would anyone believe their vote matters? The board issued themselves 1.9 billion votes when you need 10 million for 100 for one reverse split, yet you issued 200 million Series C and B, and obviously they used what they called was Nevada law at the time. That's certainly an important reaction there from the SEC is complicit. And finally, if you would like to get more details for stocks such as our daily stock alerts and our weekly watch list, and as well as get access to a challenge, details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.